That same month, you want to go out and drink alcohol? That same month, you want to go and smoke a blunt? Assalamu alaikum, and we are back with another episode of the Jahiliyah Diaries. And before we continue with anything whatsoever, I just need to pause and say a huge jazakallah khair for all your love and your support watching these Jahiliyah Diaries, and seeing my progress as to how I became who I am today means the world to me. And it seems like you're understanding me better and better each day, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you and allows you to learn from my mistakes so that it could save you from getting bruised. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you through learning lessons from my mistakes, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to embrace our mistakes and understand that it makes us who we are today. Before we continue, I would just like to say a huge Ramadan Mubarak. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you in this beautiful month of Ramadan, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to become better Muslims in this month of Ramadan as well. Being that it's the month of Ramadan, I thought to myself, SQ, wouldn't it be a great idea if you made some Ramadan themed Jahiliyah Diaries? Well, that's actually a great idea, if I might say so myself. So inshallah, the next few episodes of the Jahiliyah Diary will be centered around the theme of Ramadan and the Jahiliyah that I was getting into and the lessons I've learned in my Jahiliyah days during the month of Ramadan. So today's Jahiliyah Diary is about the time I went to party in Miami during the month of Ramadan. Now let me just say, from wire to wire, this was a terrible decision. And it wasn't a terrible decision because I did it during the month of Ramadan. It was just a terrible decision to make overall. Oftentimes we treat Ramadan as something that limits us. For example, if there's a new movie out and it releases during Ramadan, you might tell yourself, bro, why are all the good movies are released during Ramadan, bro? Like, I want to see that, but it's Ramadan. Often we use Ramadan as something limiting to us, and we have to change that mindset around and understand that Ramadan is the blessed of all months, and this is the month of the Quran, and we should be taking advantage of this month and not look at not doing something as an L. Rather, Allah is protecting you from things that probably aren't good for you anyways. It all starts off back in my dorm room, and where I make a plan with one of my colleagues from work to go to Miami. Now, one of the reasons we're going to Miami because it was his birthday and it was just gonna be lit, right? Like, you're in Miami. I've never been to Miami. He's never been to Miami. And we've just heard great things about Miami. So we, as being 19-year-old dudes, are super excited about going. Now, I tell my mom a day or 2 days before flying out to Miami, and my mom immediately says, "You're going to Miami, but isn't it Ramadan in 2 days?" And I'm all like, "Mom, it's cool, Mom. Like, it's all right. It's just Ramadan. I'll just make up my fast another day." Now, that's the first mistake. I'm not prioritizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or His book. I'm prioritizing my own nafs and whatever I want to do. But I want you to ask yourself, how many times have you done this? How many times have you prioritized your nafs over Allah? If we truly want to show gratitude to Allah, we need to make sure that we're obeying Allah. True gratitude to Allah is showing obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at that time, as I've mentioned in the past, I could have cared less about Allah. I really didn't care about Allah nor about His rules or regulations, and I just thought that Islam overall was very limiting and it would limit me from doing whatever I wanted to do. So after I brushed off my mom and I said, I don't really care if it's Ramadan or not, I'm going to Miami, it all just went downhill from there. From wire to wire, it was just an awful trip. Now, the first part of the trip became really awful when I found out some news in my dorm room before actually traveling to Miami the very next day. It's hours before Miami. I'm about to leave for my flight at like 2 or 3 a.m. and around 11 p.m. I find out something from this girl. Now, I'm not going to tell you what this thing is because I'm going to save this for another Jahiliyah diary for another time. But after I found out that news from this girl, I was extremely I was all messed up. Just to say the least, I was messed up because I'm like, yo, you literally ruined my trip before it even began, bro. Like, my trip was gonna be popping and already you're putting this on me. Like, yo, this is stupid, this is crazy. Like, I want nothing to do with this whatsoever. And what's interesting is that whenever you would go through some hardship, that's the time you remember Allah the most. Why is it that we have to experience a hardship? Why is it that we have to experience something that is out of our control, something that's really terrible for us before we actually turn back to Allah? Why is it that we're only remembering Allah when we're in a jam? Why aren't we remembering Allah when things are good as well? So anyways, I tell myself that, yo, I'm not gonna let this chick bring me down. I'm going to Miami. Now, if you know anything about Miami, it's Miami, bro. So I go meet up with my friend. We fly out to Miami, and subhanAllah, I go out there and it is beautiful. Like, Miami is gorgeous. We get out the airport and it's just great. A friend and I, we have this mindset right now that women love these dudes from New York. So if you're from New York, women love you even more. We take a shuttle to the hotel, and the hotel hotel's not even ready. Yo, what are we gonna do? Our stuff is right here. Where are we gonna go? They're like, listen, you can put your stuff over here and then you'll be fine. For Miami, I had brought this fit, man. Like, I'm talking about, like, I spent a lot of money on my outfit because you're in Miami and you want to take the best things that you got because you have the strip and you want to go on that strip and you want to walk and you want to check out people and you want to be checked out yourself. So you want to bring the best that you got. So I'm just like with this drip right now and I'm feeling good about myself because at that time, the only way that I can even gain some self-confidence was if I had some outfit, if my sneakers were good, if my outfit was popping. That's the only way I would feel secure about myself. That's the only way I would feel confident about myself. There were points where I wouldn't go out. If I had a date with a girl, if I had to go meet someone, if I didn't have a fresh haircut, I wouldn't leave the house. Like, I'm not going. I would only leave if I had a fresh cut. And that just shows you how actually superficial I was, how shallow I was, and just how insecure I truly was. But ask yourself, how many of you are out there right now who wouldn't leave the house, who wouldn't do anything unless you had a fresh outfit, unless you had a fresh haircut or something like that? Like, you need to learn self-confidence comes from within yourself, not from what you're wearing. So we drop our bags. We're just like, listen, we need to go to Miami. We need to do some fun stuff. And my friend is just like, yo, we got these scooters over here. Let's go take a scooter and go around Miami and just like ride around Miami. I'm like, yo, that's a great idea, bro. And you know, we get to meet people and hopefully we get some chicks as well. It's gonna be perfect. So we go to the scooter rental place and we got to give a deposit. It's like a $300 deposit. None of us knew that. I was limited on money, obviously, because I'm like a 19-year-old kid. I only have so much money in my account. I go there, I pay them from my debit card, but they're like, listen, we're just gonna hold this as a deposit. Once you return the scooter in good shape, we're gonna give you back your $300. So we're like, yo, it's whatever. We're gonna return it back. It's gonna be fine. We get on these scooters and man, it's just such a blast. The weather is nice-ish. Like, it's cloudy a little bit. We're like, yo, it's Miami. It shouldn't be cloudy right now. It should be sunny. We're riding on the scooter. We're checking out girls. We're saying hi to them, stopping, trying to talk to them, blah, blah, blah. We're riding around a little more and I realized something like, yo, where's my scarf? And I had wore a scarf. I had bought a really expensive scarf to wear around my neck while I was in Miami. It was like a bandana. And I look at my neck and I'm like, yo, it's gone. So like, that was like $150, boom, gone out the window. Like, it just flew off my neck when I was riding on that scooter. And I was already feeling bad from that thing that chick had told me back in my dorm room in New York, to now I'm finding out about my drip. Don't mess with my fit, all right? And I'm just like, oh, come on, bro. Like really right now. What's so funny when this is happening and I'm feeling like my trip is not starting off to a really good start because it's just not. I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I bet you it has something to do with Ramadan. I bet you it has something to do with the fact that it's Ramadan right now and I'm neglecting it. But like I said, I could really care less. So I continued on, like, you know what, whatever, bro, it is what it is. We're just riding around and we're parked up in front of our hotel. Riding on this scooter enough, let's go and like, you know, just return these scooters up and then let's go on the strip. I was just playing around and I'm revving the scooter with the brake on. I'm just revving it and just trying to like let the brake go a little so the scooter could just jump a little bit. And the next thing you know, I let go a little too much. I revved a little too much and the scooter goes from my hands and flies and smashes the back of a Mercedes. And I'm like, yo, what just happened? I noticed I'm in front of my hotel. There's CCTV, right? There's a camera right there. The people who are in the hotel saw me and they're like, oh, we know whose car that is. So I'm like, I'm screwed. First that girl, then that deposit, then my scarf, and now this? What's going to happen to me right now? So they called the dude whose car it was and he was just like, he was understanding, you know, which was really cool. May Allah bless him wherever he is right now. Like it really helped me out. He was super understanding, but I had to pay him some money. So I paid him like $200 or $300 just so he could chill out and not like call the cops or do something ridiculous like that. We go back to return the scooter and they're not going to give me my deposit back. They're like, it's done. You're not getting the $300 back. And it was like $100 for you to rent the scooter or whatever. So $400 gone like this. So $400 from there. We have $200 given for the dude's Mercedes. That's $600 right there. My $150 bandana, that's $750. Like all my money just like this, gone. All the barakah, all the goodness that I'm supposed to have is stripped away. Why? Because The gates of the hellfire might be closed in the month of Ramadan, but that doesn't mean that you've closed your sins. That doesn't mean that I'm not doing dumb stuff in the month of Ramadan. Yeah, the hellfire gates might be closed, the devils might be locked up, but that doesn't mean SQ was locked up. That doesn't mean SQ closed the doors of his own sins and bad habits, because that didn't change. I still remain the same person in this month of Ramadan because I didn't really change, because I didn't take it seriously. So we get back to the hotel and I am just destroyed. I'm super down on myself. I've lost like $750 within hours of me landing in Miami. That girl told me what she told me. That was still in the back of my mind. And now the scooter people were even threatening to say that you owe us more money and we're going to send you a bill, because they already had my ID and license and all that sort of stuff. So I was just stressed out. And what ended up happening is that in this beautiful city of Miami, it just started to pour. Miami is this place where you're supposed to go to the beach. Miami is this place where it's beautiful, it's sunny. But come to find out that there's this hurricane that just comes into Miami. And I went this place to party. I went there to drink, to pick up chicks, to do all these things. And it just turned out to be such a flop, because this is the month of Ramadan. It's not the month to do those things. Now, if you're someone who do those things, the month of Ramadan is not the time to do it, so give it up. You shouldn't be doing them in the first place, but give it up in the month of Ramadan. But if you're in the month of Ramadan, like, don't expect any of your haram things to go right. Don't expect haram things to go right. The month of Ramadan is actually about like you making those du'as and seeing those du'as come to life. How many of us have made a du'a in sujood, cried for something in the month of Ramadan, and then within that month, within days, within weeks, within hours, we've had our du'as answered and we feel like we're on the top of the world. That same month, you want to go out and drink alcohol? That same month, you want to go and smoke a blunt? That same month, you want to go party? You want to go check out movies and all this sort of stuff? Now, I'm just saying, is that what you want to do? I'm not going to stop you. I'm just saying, you're going to have the worst time of your life because things aren't going to go right. Things won't go right anyways, but things won't go right extra in this month because it's the month of Ramadan. You can't play yourself. You can't play this month of Ramadan. This month of Ramadan is beautiful. It's special. And I believe that Allah was telling me a sign that I neglected this month. Therefore, I had the worst experience I could possibly have. That trip to Miami was absolutely ruined. It was a terrible trip overall. Me and my colleague that went to Miami together, we got into so many fights together. We were underage, so we couldn't even go to a bar or a club and do all those things that we actually came to Miami to do. All those fun things to do in Miami that young dudes wanted to do, we couldn't even do in Miami because we were underage. The weather was awful. I lost almost all my money within hours of me getting there. It was a terrible trip overall, all because I did it in the month of Ramadan. Now, I'm not saying that this couldn't happen outside the month of Ramadan, but this is the month of Ramadan that I chose to neglect. I chose to neglect this month of Ramadan. Hence, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala neglected my entire trip. And my entire trip was stripped off of all the possible barakah that could ever exist. Any barakah that my trip could have had, even small things, even like things that could just go right my way. Even if it wasn't haram, like just some right things that could go my way. Everything of that trip, all the barakah was snatched away because I was busy chasing haram while Allah had opened the gates of Jannah. The gates of Jannah were open. His forgiveness was open. Yet I was busy trying to reopen those hell gates. I was busy trying to reopen those hellfire gates because I was too busy chasing my own nafs and my own desires rather than doing what was right, which was turning back to Allah. And what sucks is that I had to lose so much money, have an awful trip to realize that the month of Ramadan is special and it's blessed. I realized after that day that the month of Ramadan is actually special. There's something special about this month. I might not believe in it. I might not know about it. All I know is that we fast in this month. It's a special month. I chose to neglect even fasting in this month. I wasn't like religious, but I would still fast. There's so many of you out there who might not be reading Quran, might not be praying or something, but you still fast, right? Which is a pretty cool thing to do. But I wasn't even doing that. And that never happened ever. I've never done that. But I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be in Miami. It's gonna be popping. I'm gonna be drinking. I'm gonna be doing all these things. I don't want to be limited by fasting. That was a terrible idea. Maybe if I was fasting, Allah would put a little salt bay type of barakah on my trip. But that didn't even happen, guys. And I'm here to let you know that take advantage of this beautiful month of Ramadan. Whatever bad habits you have, use the month of Ramadan to eradicate those bad habits, to remove those bad habits. The jinns, the devils, evil beings are locked away. Now you are faced with your own bad deeds, your own sins, your own bad habits. Deal with them, address them. So look at yourself in the mirror. Look at those sins and bad habits for what they actually are, and evaluate your life and make it a mission during this month to eradicate the bad people from your life, the bad habits from your life, and make this the month that you actually turn back to Allah. Make sure that this month that you're focused on not the things that you want to accomplish in this month, but the person that you want to be outside of this month of Ramadan. And that's my biggest advice to you. Well, that was it. That was this Jahiliyah diary. Please tell me in the comments below, how'd you enjoy this Jahiliyah diary? Tell me in the comment section below if you know what I'm talking about when you're doing something wrong in the month of Ramadan and you know things don't go right. Drop your feedback and your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you hit this video with a huge thumbs up, and just know that I love you all for the sake of Allah. If you have a comment or a question that you would like to submit to me but you don't want to be too open, just DM me at Wayoflifesq. I'd be delighted to get back to you and help you out. It's not a problem at all. Wishing you all the best and have a beautiful and blessed month of Ramadan. And until next time, I'm out.